Hello everyone. Welcome back to Daily English Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner overlooks: listening. Yes, you heard it right, listening. Many people think that speaking is the most important part of learning English. But the truth is, listening is the real foundation of fluency. Let's begin with a simple thought. When you were a baby, did you start by speaking? Of course not. You listened. You listened to your parents, your family, the people around you, and slowly, your brain started catching patterns. You started understanding what words meant. You started linking sounds with meanings. And only then, you started speaking. So in reality, listening comes first, and speaking comes later. Now, why do we forget this as adults? Because we're in a hurry to speak English fast. We focus on words, grammar, and accent, but not on understanding how English sounds in real life. That's where the problem begins. When you skip listening, you skip the process that builds natural fluency. Listening does something magical to your brain. When you listen carefully, your brain absorbs tone, rhythm, pronunciation, and emotion. You start recognizing how native speakers use simple words in different ways. You start understanding real conversations, not just textbook lines. Listening teaches you what grammar feels like in real life, not what grammar looks like in a book. For example, when you listen to someone say, "I've been waiting for this moment," you don't just hear the words. You feel the excitement, the emotion, the natural flow. That's something you can't get from reading or memorizing sentences. Listening improves pronunciation too. You start realizing that many words aren't pronounced the way they're written. Think about words like Wednesday or comfortable. When you read them, they look long and tricky. But when you listen, you notice the real sound, Wednesday, and comfortable. Listening trains your ear to hear before you speak. Now let's talk about confidence. Many learners say, "I'm afraid to speak because I might make mistakes." But the real reason behind that fear is poor listening. When you don't listen enough, you don't have natural examples in your head to model your sentences. You don't know how phrases are used in real life. That's why you hesitate. But if you've been listening daily, podcasts, movies, real conversations, your brain already knows how to respond. You start speaking automatically, like music flowing out of your mouth. Listening also helps you think in English. When you listen a lot, your brain stops translating from your native language. Instead, it starts creating direct connections in English. For example, instead of thinking in your native language in English, you'll automatically hear and feel, "Did you eat?" That shift only comes through listening. Let's look at another truth. Speaking without listening is like trying to drive without watching the road. You may move, but you'll end up crashing somewhere. Listening is your guidance. It helps you respond, understand tone, and keep a conversation natural. Imagine talking to someone who doesn't listen properly. No matter how fluent they are, the conversation feels uncomfortable, right? Because real communication isn't just about words, it's about understanding. Listening makes you empathetic, aware, and more connected with people. So how can you improve your listening? The good news is, it's simple. You just need consistency. Start by listening to short, clear content daily, like English podcasts, YouTube conversations, or English news. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. Focus on getting the main idea first. Over time, your brain will start filling in the gaps automatically. If you're watching English movies or shows, use English subtitles, not your native language subtitles. That way, your eyes and ears stay in sync with English words. Soon, you'll start predicting what someone will say next, and that's a huge step in fluency. You can also shadow what you hear. That means listening to a sentence and repeating it in the same rhythm and tone. It helps train your mouth and ears together. It's one of the most powerful exercises to sound natural. Here's something important: don't just listen to one type of English. Expose yourself to different accents: American, British, Indian, Australian, and others. Because real English is global. The more accents you hear, the more confident you'll feel when meeting people from around the world. Also, remember that listening isn't passive. It's an active skill. When you listen, focus deeply. Try to catch phrases, emotions, and context. Ask yourself, what's the speaker trying to say? That's how your understanding grows, not just your vocabulary. And here's a beautiful secret. When you listen regularly, your speaking automatically improves, even without practicing much. Because your brain is constantly collecting examples of how English works. You'll start forming sentences faster, using natural expressions, and understanding real-life timing. Let me tell you a small example. One of my friends used to struggle with speaking English. He joined many classes but still couldn't express his thoughts freely. Then, he started listening, 1 hour every day, to English podcasts and YouTube shows. After just 3 months, his speaking completely changed. Not because he studied harder, but because his ears trained his mouth. That's the power of listening. It shapes your speech without pressure. So, next time you feel nervous about speaking, don't rush to talk, start by listening. When you listen more, your mind relaxes. You become familiar with words, tone, and natural patterns. Slowly, your speaking will catch up, beautifully, naturally, and confidently. Remember, the best speakers are not those who talk the most, but those who listen the best. Because every great conversation starts with listening. So today, I want you to make a small promise to yourself. Listen to at least one English podcast daily. Maybe while walking, cooking, or traveling. Don't just do it to learn, do it to feel. Because when you listen with focus, you're not just learning a language, you're learning connection, emotion, and understanding. Listening is not just a skill. It's an art. It's the heartbeat of real communication. So, listen deeply, listen daily, and watch how your English transforms, not slowly, but beautifully. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you liked this, share it with someone who's learning English too. And remember, keep listening, keep growing, and keep speaking confidently. This is your host from Daily English Podcast, signing off. See you in the next episode, and until then, keep your ears open and your confidence high.